Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive? To recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to a new episode of Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from a Film by Podcast, which focuses on every system of the expanding Star Trek universe by covering television, movies, animation, directors, merchandise, and much, much more. Plotting your course on this voyage is your core Trek crew. I'm Wayne Whited.
I'm Scott Hoffman.
I'm David Burns.
And today we talk about Season 3, Episode 4 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, titled A Space Adventure Hour, written by Dana Organ and Catherine Lynn and directed by Jonathan Frakes. So from this point forward, it's red alert, folks. There are spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen this episode yet, please stop and shuttle yourself to the nearest view screen to catch it on Paramount Plus. Then come back and rejoin us for the discussion. Scott, why don't you give us a short summary of the episode?
Happy to. Far before Dixon Hill or Sherlock Holmes solved mysteries on the Enterprise, there was another detective making interstellar history, Amelia Moon. That's the character that inspired La'an Noonien Singh to pursue a career focused on justice, and the identity she takes on for a game of murder mystery. This happens on board Enterprise as a test of a prototype holodeck, which pushes the ship to its limits to keep the mystery alive. What La'an doesn't know is that Scotty can't break her out of the holodeck unless she can solve the mystery. If she can't, the overloaded system puts the entire ship and crew at risk. Will she find the answers she needs? Will this adventure leave her with more questions? Let's talk about this amazingly original look back at a parody of TOS, while seeing how the future of the Enterprise technology unfolds. So, I'm holding my breath, wanting to know what you both thought of this, because it does go to a very interesting, different place.
Yeah, it does.
They weren't singing, so that makes me happy.
Hey. I still defend that one.
No, I thought it was a very unique episode. I had a feeling it was going to be a holodeck episode, which they're introducing kind of early in Star Trek, but that's besides the point. I found it very intriguing, and I thought all the actors who played the different characters were incredible in this. I thought you could definitely tell that they were having fun with these different roles and just going with it. And I thought that was amazing. You could just see how much fun they were having in these different roles that they were playing. A couple of people I thought stole the show, but we'll get to that point a little bit later. I absolutely loved how this episode opened. It was so much fun to see this.
Yeah.
And just getting to, obviously you knew what they were doing, but then even to do the main title sequence matched with it as well, which just was a great move for the creators of Star Trek. Paul Wesley being as William Shatner as he can was great.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll say what I had said on a previous episode, that opening sequence, there's flavors of Lower Decks in there. Assuming that's all animation, it was very, very well done. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a little bit of dabbling in practical effects there, but I'm glad they went the way they did. Wayne, what about you?
I liked the episode. I did like the episode, but I'm conflicted about certain things on it. As a viewer, I thought the episode was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, but as a Trekkie, it bothers me big time. Because modern day Trek, I mean, you expect something different than what we're used to. And my problem with this episode, and don't get me wrong, I liked the episode, okay? But I do have one little problem. It is that it's not an episode of Strange New Worlds. It's an episode of The Next Generation. It's very obviously that's what it is. Because, I mean, it's a holodeck episode. That's what it is. It's a holodeck episode, and that series is known for having a lot of holodeck episodes. And this I'm not sure they should have done this episode. This is the problem I'm having with it, because with only 10 episodes a season, um, I don't know. I'm really conflicted with this. It was a fun episode. Very much in the style of all the fun, holodeck episodes like the Big Goodbye and Elementary Dear Data. Really reminded me of that one, and Voyager's Bright and Chaotic was another one that this really reminded me. But this is ground that we've tread before, and that's where I have my issue with this, because I never thought I would ever see this type of episode in this series. So I don't know. I'm maybe I need to watch it a little bit more, let it sink in a little bit longer. But I can't tell whether I should praise the episode or fuss about it.
So this episode is kind of a double-edged sword. I see where you're talking at there. I agree with you. We've got only 10 episodes. Why are you giving us this kind of bottle episode that really kind of doesn't push the story along except for the Leon and Spock stuff? But for me, I think the other side of the coin here is, it's your typical holodeck episode that we got in The Next Generation. But I think with this being meta that it is, that it gave us Trek fans a love back to us, almost like a love letter back to us and to Gene Roddenberry. Because, I mean, come on, let's be honest. T.K. Bellows, who Pike is playing, is kind of Gene Roddenberry here.
Oh, okay? Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And the speech that is given by, is it Joni, I think, played by Uhura? The speech that she gives, talking about, people who take on this show, fans, have a deep love for it. And when you look at it that way, I feel like this is Jonathan Frakes, who, again, directed this episode, and probably why it feels a little bit like The Next Generation. But this is Jonathan Frakes almost saying, I see you fans, and I appreciate what you've done. At the same time, appreciating what Gene Roddenberry has done over the years. And if we remember, Gene Roddenberry even had problems towards the end of Star Trek. Remember, he got thrown off the set. I forget what movie it was, but and he kind of got barred from his own product. And exactly what has happened to TK in this episode. So I feel like this was kind of a love letter to everything Star Trek, and that's the way I look at it. I see your viewpoint, but I also see that viewpoint.
Well, that's why I have the problem with it. I had fun through it from beginning to end of the episode. I really did have fun, and I liked it. I'm just not sure it should have been done because, first of all, we have to admit this is going to split the viewers.
Oh yeah,
right down the center. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. But I think it just follows too closely the basic format of the past holodeck episodes. I think that's what's bothered me. You got your, the adventures created. Oh no, something goes wrong. Now they're trapped and the safety protocols are off. They got to finish the story, and then of course the Enterprise is in danger. It's we've seen that many times before. There so much can be done. Really the sky's the limit with holodeck episodes, and this is just retreading like greatest hits of the holodeck. I think they could have done something a little more original with the story. And I'm not even going to get into the idea of the fact that I don't think the holodeck should exist at this point. Or at least in the format that we see in this, because there was something called the rec room, the recreation room in the animated series. But what we see, this is a full-blown holodeck.
Oh yeah,
and it's even called that. You got the yellow and black grid. You got the arch.
Yeah.
I can accept that they would be working on a prototype of the technology, but I think maybe we should have made it a little more primitive. I think that's what's hitting my Trek nerve right now, because this is just like the holodeck that we saw in Enterprise D. There's very little difference to it, and just like the one we saw in Encounter at Farpoint, especially the Big Goodbye, because this story really reminded me of the Big Goodbye. And I appreciate their attempt to work it into the folklore, but I guess I just always assumed that the holodeck was a newer technology in the 24th century. Because if you remember in the pilot, Next Generation pilot, right, neither Riker or Wesley had even seen a holodeck. And here we are over 100 years. I'm not sure exactly how long ago this episode was between those two stories, but I don't know. I'm going to throw all that out and say I liked the episode, okay?
Yeah, I thought it was
I really did. Yeah, it was fun.
I agree that I think it was a lot of fun. I think I'm leaning more toward the Dave side of Wayne right now, because Wayne, it sounds like you're standing on that line between love and hate.
Yeah,
which is an interesting dichotomy, because you're kind of talking about, like, it's something that's making you think about it a lot, not with a lot of distaste, but just kind of, should it have been this, right? I think when you're mentioning episodes, it kind of reminds you of, just when you started talking about it, it did remind me a little bit of Far Beyond the Stars from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Where it's not directly talking about the creators of the show, and I think that's one of the things that was really interesting about this, that they did it as kind of an homage type parody, but it didn't seem like they were taking vicious jabs at anybody that was involved with the show, like the Lucille Ball type character, the Gene Roddenberry type characters. It all seems to be done with a lot of fun and reverence, and I think when you want to have that kind of tone, Jonathan Frakes is exactly the guy to go to.
I agree.
For that kind of stuff. I think it's interesting the way that they explain some of that when you talk about, like, the technology shouldn't be there yet. When they say, we can only have a limited cast of characters that has to be based off the transport buffer patterns. So it can't necessarily create anybody original. Although that did make me think, who was in the bathtub? I wasn't able to catch the face of the person in the bathtub, and I don't think they were trying to go to a place where it was like, let's show one of the crew dead.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that was.
There was part of me who was wondering about that. Anyway, and the fact that they basically use the holodeck to create like a clue type situation, where it's a limited number of rooms, it's in a gigantic mansion, but you just get the sense that it's a gigantic mansion because every room is giant and ornate and whatever. So I can see how it is kind of operating with some limitations there. It did kind of catch me off guard. Like, should this have existed at this point? But if there's anybody who should be at the center of trying to fix it when it goes haywire, I think Scotty was a lot of fun to watch. It was fun to watch him kind of, panic and kind of fumble and say, like, hypothetically, if this went pear-shaped, what would somebody do about it? I also agree with the timing seemed odd. Like, if you're going to test this kind of thing to see if it can work on a starship, wouldn't you want to test that in space dock rather than saying, let's park outside a neutron star where anything could possibly happen, and it does? Wouldn't it be safer to kind of run this in a place where if life support went down completely, they could transport everybody out?
Well, that's the common sense part of it, but that wouldn't be Star Trek.
Right, and it wouldn't be a fun episode. Right. It would just be like, how boring. Okay, everything ended.
Don't get me started on Data, on an android that you keep giving all this, room to do whatever he wants, and he goes wrong. Okay, no, we're not going there.
Right.
Yeah. I keep saying I'm fighting whether I loved or hated the episode, but I'm just going to say I did love the episode. I thought it was so much fun. I'm going to follow the advice of an ancient philosopher that once said that just repeat to yourself, it's just a show, and I should really just relax.
Words of wisdom. Yep.
Yes, indeed. So clearly this is the weird episode of the season, right? They always have one.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm assuming this is the weird one.
Of this season,
guess, yeah.
yes.
Of this season, yeah.
That's true, yeah.
So look at it that way.
Yeah.
So let me flip the coin on you though. Let's say the whole episode was a space adventure hour. Was it The Last Frontier?
Yep.
Let's say the whole episode was that, but it ends with maybe Trelane playing another trick on them, or another alien race is doing something to them so that it's not a holodeck. It's like they're having tricks played on them, and so they're caught up somewhere, and then we get that explanation towards the end of the episode. Would that be a better episode than a holodeck?
I probably would have. Yeah, I think it would have. It would have been another fun episode, I think, because I really, really enjoyed the original series parody that they did at the beginning, and
that was great.
Especially Paul Wesley's performance that had me laughing. What an unusual way to start an episode. I never saw that coming.
Yeah.
Well, I loved the bloop. Not to fast forward to the end, but the blooper reel at the end when he tries the Riker maneuver.
Yes.
Yeah, and breaks the chair.
Yes.
That was great. Yeah.
All right, I also want to point out too that there was so much stuff that we really loved in this episode, but I thought the music was wonderful this time around too. She did a phenomenal job of recreating the style and the feel of the not only the original series but a little bit of hints of the animated series. So I hats off to Nemi Melamed. We haven't said her name much this season, but she's done a wonderful job.
The music has just been really good this season.
Yeah.
Not saying the previous seasons have been terrible, but man, they are just knocking it out of the park this season after each episode.
Yeah, and it's just another element of how they really leaned into this. Like the opening credits being the opening credits for The Last Frontier, not for Strange New Worlds. Like they could have gone a different direction there, but they just totally leaned into it. I don't think it works.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like the original series, but it was using the Strange New Worlds theme, and I thought that was brilliant. I really hope we get a soundtrack this season. We haven't got one from last seasons, but come on now, Paramount, give it to us.
No kidding. I was gonna say you guys had to absolutely love the whole falling around the bridge, like it was getting hit, and the actors were portraying that they were falling out of their chairs and moving around. I just thought that was hysterical. Yeah,
the hyper jostling. I liked the what was the race called? The Argonians.
Something like that.
The way that they had just the exaggerated sticks that were holding the eyes on the side and the giant rubber face. That was another one where I was like, I'm trying to look beyond the makeup to see who that is. I know it wasn't one of the core cast, but
no,
they had a lot of fun with that.
I'm sure our producer's happy that everybody's hair is back to normal.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we have to share about our likes or dislikes about the episode?
Well, he's not going to get my vote for which crew member shined the most, but I love Scotty in this episode. There's so many Scotty-isms. I mean, even as small as the way that he says lieutenant when he's talking to Lon, and the way he's worked into that found footage in the fake fireplace. I thought that was a cool little nugget. Like when he was going to get in touch with them, I didn't know if he was going to call them on the phone, but then he ends up being a character in that found footage, turns around and talks to them through the movie projector. I thought that was pretty cool.
So here's my question. Where the hell is Pelia?
She's on leave. Didn't you hear?
She didn't want to be anywhere near testing a holodeck. She knew how dangerous it would be. She's going to be like, Scotty, good luck.
But this is like 2 episodes in a row now. They're on a 5-year mission. Where the hell is she?
Maybe it means that we get a Pelia-centric episode coming up soon.
But I mean, she's part of your main crew.
I know.
She should be. Okay, I get the joke the last episode that she didn't want to attend the meeting, so she sent Scotty. But 2 episodes in a row now, we don't know anything about her, where she's at. Is she just sleeping in her quarters? Is she sick? I don't know. It just seems so awkward.
It is odd that she wasn't there, especially since I think her expertise could have been used this episode. I don't know, but I mean, we got to see Scotty, we got to see him shine, so she'll be back.
Maybe they'll explain it. Maybe I don't know.
I also liked the 2 subtle nods that we had in this, I guess, like Easter eggs to other famous detectives. Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, definitely.
I feel has to have some kind of influence on Lon's outfit. Credit to him for that. And the other classic 60s detective, Scooby-Doo. Because the killer is always the first one you meet.
Yeah.
I didn't get that until I rewatched, and I was like, oh, the Spock that appears in the holodeck was behind it all along. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the mystery itself, it felt a little convoluted, but I did like the solution of it. I thought that was actually rather brilliant and a good way of wrapping it up.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, David, who did you think shined this episode?
So many did a really good job in this, but I've got to give it to Pike. in all his quirkiness as TK, also probably playing Gene Roddenberry. But I mean, his heartbreaking scene there towards the end, where when he finally tells what's going on, that he's being removed from the show and those kind of things, and you think that he's the murderer, but he's not. He's just pissed off at the producers and pissed off at everybody, but he still didn't kill anybody. But just some of those scenes were just hysterical, with him, how he was just so like odd, which is not like Pike, to be like that. And I believe there was a scene that they were talking about. I think it was Una's character, where she was talking about the house, and Pike was like, "But you love that house." It just that small little line out of nowhere just made me laugh. So it was Pike without question.
Yeah, he did such a good job. They all really did a good job in their alternate personas. I was kind of a little bit taken back by Anson Mount's performance, because it took me a few seconds to realize that was even him.
Yeah.
He is so different from Pike and looks so different, but very obviously Gene Roddenberry, just like number one's was Una's was definitely, without a question, supposed to be Lucille Ball.
Yep.
But it's just so good. But this was a Lon episode. I mean, there's no doubt. I think she shined the most, in my opinion. And of course, I love Christina Chong. I think she does a wonderful job in everything she does, and she did a great job here. And she looks like she's having a lot of fun this episode. But she shined. But you really have to admit that Paul Wesley's imitation of Shatner stole the show.
Which apparently William Shatner does not appreciate, because I watched a video with him yesterday.
Oh, he doesn't?
Really?
On.
No, he does not.
Oh, man.
But Wayne, you do bring up a good point. So we haven't really discussed it yet. Clearly, they're going into a relationship with Lon and Spock.
Yeah.
That's obviously happening. So they're not beating around the bush anymore. So
what do you feel about that? How do you guys feel about a relationship if that's where they're going?
I mean, Spock had relationships, for crying out loud. I don't have a problem with it. And the fact that he's trying to rebound from Chapel, which who wouldn't want to try to rebound from Chapel, and who wouldn't go to Leon, who's absolutely beautiful. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I know that there's going to have to be some kind of conflict there. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out, because I don't think they're going to go the stereotypical route, or kind of that cliche route that they could go with it. I do think on a second watch, it was interesting how Chapel's character in The Last Frontier has a moment of dialogue where she says, am I not allowed to have love and be able to be taken seriously in my career?
Mm-hmm.
And you see that kind of moment of pause from La'an when she's not in character as Amelia, but she's genuinely recognizing that. So I feel like that's one of the clips that's going to come back in, last time on. I'd be interested to see how that relationship plays out, and if it plays out. But hats off to him. And I mean, Spock's got to be a hell of a dancer for those tango lessons, right?
Lots of practice. So
as far as who shines, I think my favorite in parody universe character has got to be Anson Mount. His performance, I agree. Like you could tell he was having fun every time he'd kind of fold his hands and rest them on the top of his belly. And kind of look over his glasses. You could see that that's just like Frakes had to be just like giggling on the side. But La'an having this arc of a relationship with Spock that's just beginning, all of the tango dancing, and all the fun that she was having as Amelia Moon, you could tell she was having a lot of fun being that detective, even though it was life or death stakes, and her own detective skills are really what helped to save the day here.
Yeah. Now, if you had any choice to be any character that appeared in this episode, which one would it be and why? What about you, Scott?
I can hear Jeff shouting his answer right now.
We all can.
I think it would be interesting to be Scotty, and I would like to see kind of as much fun as this episode would be, it would be interesting to see his own kind of journey in trying to fix this thing, how to navigate this thing, and kind of look behind the scenes at the holodeck. I think that'd have been interesting. Dave, what about you?
I'm going with the Jeff Johnson answer, and I'm going to say Spock because not only does he got some cool moves there dancing on the floor, but he gets Leon with on his arm, and clearly going to have a little bit of a romance with her. So that's an obvious answer for me. Wayne, I'm curious of yours.
Well, I'm not sure I want to say mine now because I wanted to be Lon.
Oh God.
But for different reasons.
Okay, that's fine.
No, it's just that, ever since, I was a kid and I started watching The Next Generation, I thought it would be so fascinating to actually be in a holodeck. I mean, can you imagine, being able to recreate anything that you want and any adventure you want? And Lon had the chance of testing the very first one or one of the earliest prototypes. And I mean, can you imagine what was going through her mind and what she was thinking, the potential for this, despite all the troubles that it causes? We've seen a lot of trouble over the years that stupid thing can cause and can go wrong. But I'm pretty sure she enjoyed her time doing this. She looked like she did, and I would have too. So I'm going to choose her.
That's a good choice.
Cool.
All right, now let's dive deep into the episode and see if we can pull out any Easter eggs. And I'll let you two go first. Did you find anything?
Well, the one that really the one that really, obviously we know the obvious ones.
Yeah.
But the one that really stood out to me that made me giggle was when Ortegas was playing Lee Woods, and she goes, I'm an actor, not a doctor, right? Which obviously was a nod to McCoy, and I thought that was perfect.
Yeah. For me, aside from what we've already mentioned, I like the meta nature of having the bloopers at the end.
Yes.
Replicating the original series bloopers, but specifically the doors not working.
Yes, that's great.
I feel like that's a great nod. Wayne, what about you?
And that shot, the final shot, it was just a straightforward shot at Paul Wesley Kirk. It reminded me of that shot at the end of all the end credits of that Alien thing, the way it was framed like that. But there were, the whole episode was just full of Easter eggs. So, and many of them are obvious. They're very obvious. So, but I went through and tried to see if I can find a few Easter eggs that maybe you didn't notice. But first, let me state that, as I mentioned before, a version of the holodeck called the Recreation Room appeared in the animated series. The episode was called The Practical Joker. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the scenes from The Last Frontier used a lot of original series sound effects, and there were some great effects there, and of course that similar sounding theme song. The device that Lon wears on her neck that allows the holodeck programming to scan her was very similar to the cortical monitor that was used very often in Star Trek Voyager that they would use to monitor everybody's life signs. Now, this one I had to look a couple times. I had to think about this one. But Spock mentions that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is his ancestor. That threw me. But then I remembered in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, Spock says that an ancestor of his said that if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Of course, that's a quote from Doyle's book, The Sign of Four. So bravo to the writers for adding that and keeping that little bit of continuity. Now, here is one that I don't think very many people got. It took me a couple of views, but one scene in the holodeck, there were various movie posters hanging on the wall, including a Western called Dawn in Deadwood. Deadwood was the fictional Western town that Worf and Alexander visited during their holodeck adventure, A Fistful of Datas. It's neat that they added these little tidbit Easter eggs from past holodeck adventures. And the last one, Scotty states that holodecks would require a dedicated server room and power source that is separate from the rest of the starship's operations. I'm glad he said that, because that was always an issue and a problem during Star Trek Voyager, where the ship's power would completely go out, but the holodecks were still working. So they finally, after all this time, put an explanation as to what the hell's going on there.
Did you see Jonathan Frakes made it into the episode? His voice anyway. At the end of the bloopers, that was him calling out the corrections and ship instructions to the cast.
Oh, nice.
That was Jonathan. Cool. That was awesome.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add on this week's episode?
No, sir.
No, I congratulate him for taking a big swing on this one, and I think it was spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give them a lot of credit for trying something different. I'm with you, David. Thank God there was no singing.
No repping Klingon.
Easy.
Thank God.
Hey, we went back to Under the Cherry Moon. We're going back to that one.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
But this is I think this is the season's odd episode. We've already got a taste of next year's odd episode. We see, but I really wish they would show clips for next week's episode. We could talk a little bit about it, but they're not doing that this season, so we have no idea what's coming next for any of the crew.
I'm interested about that because it's called Through the Lens of Time. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad they're not giving us any spoilers with like trailers, because it leaves it to a surprise to us, because it makes me feel like they're trying to keep something hidden from us that they don't want us to see until the episode happens. So I kind of like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it leaves a lot of speculation to the title of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know, but I have some suspicions. We'll just have to wait until next week to see.
Well, that puts us halfway through the season too, does it not?
I know. Yep, it does.
Flying by, man.
It's also kind of interesting, just to speculate for a second, that the last time that anything regarding time or time travel came up was when La'an went back and sparked the romance with Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interesting that now she seems to be on the Spock train. Mm-hmm. So could there be some kind of aspect of that? Could there be Kirk coming back and some kind of conflict there? I don't know.
I didn't think about that. That is a possibility. That could be part storyline that's coming up.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's it for this week's episode of Phasers Set to Stun's look at Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We'd like to open a channel to our listeners and hear just what you thought about the most recent episode and the season in general. Who knows, you might even be mentioned on a future show. Of course, you can email us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com. Find us online at afilmbypodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And if you're looking for more exclusive content or swag, you can join our Patreon and find out what gems are hidden within. Thank you, David and Scott, for joining me and the listeners for another fascinating discussion.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you. Yep, appreciate it.
As you stated, the next episode is titled Through the Lens of Time, which is the 5th episode of the season and the halfway point for not only this year, but the entire series. We look forward to returning to the 22nd century and the bridge of the Starship Enterprise next week on Phasers Set to Stun.